There we go. Let's turn some lights off and get things situated. Get this to where it's a little bit more viewer friendly. And we are starting unit 4 today, which deals with ratios, proportions, and percents. You may have touched a little bit on this last year. So we're going to get rolling. Today is 4.1, which we're talking about ratios. And a ratio is a comparison of two values. Okay. So given quantity A and quantity B, the ratio of A to B, which is the verbal representation, can be written in 3 ways. A colon B, A to B, which is your verbal representation normally. And then the way we are going to see it most often is A over B with the fraction bar, okay? This is the way we will use it, okay? This is the way we're going to write it and use it, okay? Like fractions, ratios should be written in simplest form. It must be written in simplest form. So let's work a few examples. Okay, so it says 8 DVDs to 2 books. First thing we're going to do is first write word ratio. Okay, my word ratio is I'm doing the DVDs compared to the books. And I can't spell books, or at least write it to where it looks like I can spell books. So this is the word ratio right here. So we write that first. What are we comparing? And then I'm going to put my numbers where they belong. It's 8 DVDs, so the 8's going to go on top, and it's as you read from left to right when you write your ratio, over 2 books. Okay, and then we simplify. So this is going to be 4 over 1, or, and then it wants to write it in 2 different ways, right? Each ratio in 2 different ways. Well, technically here's one way, and another way you can write it is with the colon or with the words 4 to 1. All of these are correct answers. Okay, another example. Remember, we write the word ratio first, which is girls to boys, because it says 15 girls to 24 boys. Now I plug in my numbers. So I'm going to have 15 over 24. And I simplify. If I don't see it right off, I think about what numbers can go into both. 2 can't, 3. Yep, 3 can. So I'm going to end up with, I'm going to divide by 3 to both, and that's going to give me 5 over 8, which can also be done as 5 colon 8, or the words 5 to 8. All 3 of these are acceptable answers. Okay, jumping down to number 9. Okay, so it says, this past season, the hockey team had 48 wins and 28 losses. Find each ratio in simplest form. So I have two parts here. My word ratio is wins to loses. So I'm going to put wins over our losses here. Wins to losses. So therefore, I'm going to put 48 over 28. And both of these are divisible by 4. So that's going to give me 12 over 7 as my final answer. Losses to the total games. This is where it's important to do the word ratio, because I'm comparing losses to the total. So to get the total, that means I have to do 48 plus 28. 48 plus 28. So it's much easier for me to add vertically. So that's 6, 1. So 76 is the total. So I'm now going to have 28 over 76. And when we simplify that, we can divide by 4 again. And we end up with 7 over 19 as my ratio. Okay, next page. Or on the back of this page, I apologize. On the back of this page. So now we're talking about when we have measurement. This is where your formula chart that you were given that should be in your resources section, kind of, and you also have copies of this in Schoology, is going to come in handy, okay? Because when a ratio involves measurements, both quantities must have the same unit of measure. It must be in the same unit, okay? When they are different, you must convert one unit to the other. It is usually easier to convert the larger to the smaller. So we want to make it to the smallest unit. All right. So when I'm looking at number 11, we're going to write each ratio in simplest form as my directions, 1 foot to 4 inches. So therefore, right now it's foot to inches, but feet to inches, but I want to change it to where it's inches to inches, where I have the same unit. So how many inches are there in a foot? Well, there's 12 inches in 1 foot, and I can get that information on my formula chart. So therefore, this 1 foot is going to change to 12 inches. So therefore, this is going to be 12 over 4, which simplifies to 3 over 1. Or since it can be written as a whole number, no, you want to leave this as the fraction. Sorry, you want to leave it as the fraction. All right, let's look at another type of a situation. 15, 200 centimeters to 5 meters. I want to change these meters to centimeters. Okay, so the information that I need to know is that there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Okay, so here we go. So that means if it's 5 meters, this is going to be 500 centimeters. So for this one, it's always what's read first from left to right. So I'm going to put the left on top of the right when I'm reading this. So I'm going to have 200 over 500, and we simplify. What I do notice, the zeros cancel out, and I'm left with 2 over 5 as my simplified ratio. Okay, 19, 2 gallons to quarts. The quarts are the smaller than the gallons, so I know there's 4 quarts equal to 1 gallon. So if it's 2 gallons, that means this is going to become 8 quarts. And remember, this is going to be left to right. So I'm going to have 8 over 10, which simplifies to 4/5 as my simplified ratio. Okay, jumping down to 27. It took Jan 1 hour and 20 minutes to do her math homework, while it took Ava just 45 minutes. Find the ratio of time it took Jan to do her homework to the time it took Ava to do hers. So I'm wanting to find the ratio of Jan to Ava. So that's where I write my word ratio, Jan to Ava. So, well, here Jan's is 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's 2 different units. I have to make it all 1. So I'm going to, 1 hour is the same as 60 minutes. So I'm going to do 60 plus 20, which is going to give me 80 over Ava's 45. And then we simplify. So divide by 5, and we get 16/9 as that simplified ratio. Your assignment for today is to finish the notes page and do the odds from the classwork homework. Finish the notes page and do the odds from the classwork homework. Have a good day.